Today I'd like to continue some of the reflections I've been sharing on the decision by the Supreme Court in the Dobbs versus the Jackson County decision, which overturned the two landmark decisions on abortion, Roe versus Wade and the Casey versus Planned Parenthood decision. One of the things that we uh, are aware of when we take a look at this type of decision by the court is the idea of male responsibilities. So many times we look at the issue of abortion in terms of the feminine, and of course, it so deeply affects a woman. The idea of pregnancy, 9 months, and all of that is certainly a huge impact on the life of the woman. But certainly, what we have to look at also and be really aware of is are the responsibilities of a male in our society? And how do we promote those responsibilities? How do we encourage them? How do we support them? All of those things are really a crucial part of the equation here and of the discussion. Of course, in some cases, this becomes fraught with difficulty where there is an abusive relationship, where there's rape, incest. All of those certainly would be factors that would bear on the idea of male responsibility. Sometimes my responsibility is in terms of punishing the male for the violation of the woman and her rights and her life. But certainly it's an important part of the equation. And also, another extremely important part of the equation is rates of maternal mortality. Why are those rates so high in our country, particularly among women of color? It seems outlandish that in our society today we would have rates so much higher than other countries who have similar demographics, similar income levels, but our rates are much higher. And why is that? Certainly that issue has to be explored in terms of this decision, in terms of maternal health care in general. And also the idea of the workplace reforms. Why, the whole concept here that if a woman becomes pregnant, she could possibly, lose her job. The impact that this could have on her life. All of those issues very important to discuss and to bring to the table here as well. This is why this decision really it's raised a lot of controversy, a lot of people for and against. But really, there are many underlying issues that are extremely important and significant that have to be discussed, that have to be looked into, dialogue has to occur because unless you deal with a lot of these underlying realities, this decision is not really going to be a decision that is a helpful decision in any way because all of these underlying issues. So the Supreme Court, of course, is dealing with something from a legal point of view, and certainly legal scholars will debate it back and forth. But I think what it points to is some real problems in terms of what are the responsibilities of men? What about this high rate of mortality among women who are pregnant? And also the issue of workplace and the support that a woman needs in a workplace for taking care of children, jobs being child friendly in some way, family friendly, all of that certainly must be discussed and talked about. So the issue that is raised first here is, well, what are the healthcare needs of women? And are we addressing those needs in our country? Are we addressing them with our healthcare system? And certainly, this decision raises these issues front and center. And so we must deal with those issues in very concrete and real ways. Um, Also, other neglected life issues need to be addressed because, uh, again, this issue must be put in a issue of life, a context of life, and how we deal with all of those life issues are extremely important in terms of the issue of abortion. Uh, Certainly, there are barriers that can be created by this decision that unfortunately can lead to death. So this is very significant. Uh, Putting up barriers by laws in terms of women and reproductive issues, these are very serious issues. And so if anything is compromising a woman's health, if anything is endangering a woman's health, if anything is leading to the death of a woman, that certainly must be addressed, looked at in a very concrete and real way. Uh, what is the good of a decision like this if it leads to a higher rate of women dying? I mean, this is crazy. I mean, you certainly cannot tolerate that as a society. So that's something that has to be addressed in terms of this decision. So it brings up these corollary issues. Also, the real danger that is uh, addressed by the issue in some way is treating life in the womb as disposable. So again, if there is life in the womb, if there is a child growing in the womb, if that is uh, determined, even scientifically determined by different measurements. Uh, and right now, of course, we are at a much higher level in terms of scientific advancement. So we can look at intrauterine life and study it and say, well, this is the development that is happening now. And so to treat that just as disposable, certainly that is not something that we as a society can tolerate. So again, that's an issue that must be brought to the table here. What are we doing if we're treating human life as disposable? What is that leading to? Certainly, that's a very important part of the discussion. And so, related to this is the need for expanding our healthcare. What about those women who cannot get healthcare? What about those women who are pregnant and cannot get the support that they need? Uh, how is this promoting life in our society? How is this helping us to enlarge our concept of life if our very healthcare and our support for these women is not there? And if we say it's there, but it really isn't. Uh, if a woman is facing a crisis because she cannot afford decent health care, then the whole issue of promoting life is at risk here because this woman needs our support, needs help in terms of developing the life that is within her. And so this becomes a very important issue as well. What is her access to healthcare? And where in our country are women not having adequate access to healthcare? Very important. And of course, extremely important in this whole issue is what we call the idea of being with people. Certainly, if someone is facing a difficulty, a stress in terms of becoming pregnant, what does that person need? They first of all need someone who is sensitive and caring and compassionate to be with them, to accompany them on the journey. And so many of our ministries now are geared in that direction. We need to be there for her, to accompany her on this journey that is difficult for her, where she is facing a challenge. And in future videos, we will explore further the implications of this decision and what we can do to promote a real culture of life.